Oh man. The only solace I take in today is knowing that even though I have to work tomorrow, it's not until the evening. So I guess I'll give a recap of yesterday, which felt like the Christmas Eve of nightmares. I have been sick to some degree or another for the past 5 or 6 days. And the absolute worst of it was probably I'd say Thursday and Friday. And I was kicking myself on Friday because I actually agreed to an extra shift at my job until before I felt bad. And like it was funny because it was like the whole week was just more stuff adding up on top of each other. Like first you don't feel good. Well, first you have like troubles with your vehicle. Then you don't feel good. Uh, then you feel a little bit better, but then you something else. It's it just was spiraling all over the place. So on Thursday morning, because I have to be there at 11 o'clock, not Thursday, Sunday morning, excuse me. Uh, which is it's a departure from the time I usually come, which is like again the afternoon to midnight rather. Uh, I'm supposed to be there at 11 o'clock, and throughout the whole night, I toss and I turn, and I flip and I switch, and I just can't go to sleep. And it becomes really frustrating for me because I always feel like when somebody works a job, any time where they're not working the job should either be something they're doing for leisure or for rest. So to sit there or lay there rather for 7 hours and just not be able to get any sleep at all, it drove me nuts. Um, I left that morning. I decided to use a 5 hour energy. I haven't had one of those since I was a kid. Uh, and I consumed about half of it as the instructions read. If you wanted like a minimum boost of energy or whatever. So I go inside as it finally reaches 11 o'clock. I tell myself I've got to make it through these 8 hours. And that's when I arrive for my shift, the manager informs everyone there that, oh no, we're only working until 3 o'clock. So, it's a half shift. Which in a normal occasion I would be really irritated with because they do stuff like that to get out of paying people more money, right? They don't want to pay people for full-time work, and that's one of the problems I had with the other place I was working for, that they get off on just like starving people of hours. Like, ooh, you have a job that gives you 5 hours a week, 10 hours a week, but in this case I just didn't. I was just wanting to get out of there, so I just said, whatever. um they kept me a little bit longer past 3 o'clock, but I was about a half hour later told I could leave, and I did. And I went back. I wanted to go. At first, I started to go to the market, and I was like, "Why are there so many people here? This is crazy. I'll just come back tomorrow." And then I remembered that the market was closed for the next day, so that's why everybody was rushing to go in there. And I had actually planned on going to the market earlier in the day, but I didn't, because I had to get some gas and I didn't want to be late to the thing. I probably would have had enough time. I'm always antsy about being late to the job because it's a hour away. Although with a freeway that's not crowded, it's probably like 40 minutes, 50. I've said before, when I get off in those late night shifts, I can get back to my place in half an hour. Like that's why I've always been so fascinated by with cars, how they're even some of the older models, like if they don't have any obstacles blocking them, like traffic and this light or whatever, they just zoom right through. So after going from that shift and going to the market and deciding to go in there and get my stuff, I finally get back to my place. I lay down, and I sleep for the first time in what I think has to have been at least 24 hours, maybe 27 hours. Um, I'm trying to think what time I went to sleep on Saturday. Like when I woke up at some point during the morning, it was like 10 something. And I don't think I slept after that. So yeah, it was like from Saturday morning until Sunday afternoon, basically early Sunday evening. I just didn't have any sleep, which was not an enjoyable thing for me, but it is what it is. I did my shift. I fought the tiredness because the worst part about this illness is I've been feeling more and more sluggish. Ugh, where you just it's like the stuff that normally you could just get up, do, it's harder to. Mm. Yeah, they had this they had one of the managers up there. I described her physical appearance before, this big lady. She put some makeup on for the day, and I guess some eyeliner, and I was just thinking to myself, I get where people believe that makeup looks can, like, I guess, improve the cosmetic appearance of women, but for me it doesn't do anything because, like I said, I've always mostly been attracted to certain frames, and if I it's one of those things where it wouldn't make a difference to me. It would be more of a turn off because it's like you clearly care about your appearance to some degree or another to put that stuff on your face, but what about all the rest of you? See, at least with some people, they don't care. They just like whatever. Like I have people that talk trash about me on here, and to a smaller extent in real life. It doesn't matter. Yeah, I planned on streaming earlier, but it's another one of those problems where people just don't know when to leave. They don't go anywhere. They stay at the place all day long. And then if when they're here, you're worried that they're going to interrupt you. So that's why I didn't I didn't do this at an earlier part of today. And I hope to eventually get over this disease because it has really zapped me of a lot of strength. That's always the part that scares me the most about, if eventually like living alone and just uh if something happens to you, nobody knows about it. If you're sick, it doesn't matter what kind of disease you have to go to work to take care of yourself. Because with that, it's not even like someone being against working. It really is just, hey, this person is really not feeling good. Maybe can they get the day off? Or you can't. That's why I've always thought was so funny about these employers where they try to tell their employees, "Oh yeah, stay home if you're sick." It's like, but you're not giving paid leave. So what I stay off because I'm sick and miss 300, 400, $500. Who would agree to that? Oh yeah, Merry Christmas as well, Akatsuki Merchant. One of the guys at the job actually asked me what I was doing for the holidays or something. And I thought it was so obnoxious because when I was like in school, for example, I don't know about you, but they used to give us, like Christmas break. So for example, the last day would be like the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and then you would get, Christmas Eve and Christmas and New Year's and the rest of that off. With this with this job, we get the day of Christmas off, but they had us work like you get what I'm saying of how the way he frames it is it's as though we're getting this big vacation. We're getting one day off, and then I go right back tomorrow. You know what I mean? Like, hey, what are you doing on your one day off? I thought it was funny, like just the framing of it. Like, ooh, what a great celebration for me having 24 hours where I don't have to show up for this job. You know, like I haven't had that before. Yeah, I see we had somebody else join. I'll let them decide if they want to write anything. People are so shy nowadays. We're at a point now where managers can't even fire you when they want you gone. They'll go and like tell some other person in the company to do it. Like when I was at that retailer, it's like, oh no, the actual manager doesn't want you gone, but the people atop that person want you gone, so they have to act as the mouthpiece to the desires and whims of someone else. Oh man, that was actually one of my favorite things about just how do you expect because my I've always believed that leadership positions require more than just being able to make a bunch of money and sell on a board in a suit and tie. You actually have to have like confidence and some kind of forward vision and a plan and like some ability to make a decision, stick to it, and face whatever the consequences are of that decision. So I don't think a CEO or a board of people should go and hide behind some woman, whether that person is the manager or not, for when they want to get rid of somebody. They should get one of their members, doesn't have to be the whole group, and have them come to the store and say, "Yeah, I think we want you out of here." But again, they're cowards. They're all hiding behind their desk. That's why when I was at the restaurant, not this one, the one from 2 years ago, it's like they don't even tell you to your face you're fired. They call you over the phone, or when you get a rejection from like some employer, they don't even call you. They send you a text or email because it's like the most dispossessed, faceless thing you can do with when it comes to this stuff. You sat down for all these interviews with these people and nothing ever improves. It's just you wasting your time with a bunch of actually what I thought was even funnier is that when I came back from the shift, the person that I've had the misfortune of you know doing stuff with, they asked me, oh, did they send you home early because you're sick? And my response was because you know that employers don't care if you don't feel good. The only time they're worried is if you're coughing over their stuff or if you have something that they think they might personally catch. Other than that, they don't, that's what I thought was funny. Like the thought or even the idea of the managers at that place going, "Oh man, Justin's not feeling so good. I think we're gonna have to send him home. He's really not doing." They don't care. And it's like every I thought every adult, certainly the ones who have been around, for working for several years, knew that, but apparently that one didn't. So I told it to another relative, and we were both laughing at that person because it's just delusion, man. To ever think an employer could care about an employee is that's comical. You can't even these people won't even give you a damn $1 or $2 raise, but you're supposed to believe they'll send you home because you're not feeling good, man. All you are for 99% of all of these, especially these like franchise corporations, is just a body. You're just a tool in their arsenal that they can throw away at any point and get somebody else to do the exact same stuff. Saying you're sick is just a way of inconveniencing them. And if you inconvenience them enough times, they will get rid of you without a second thought or a moment's notice. It's hilarious that that person even considered that as a possibility. Did they send you home because you're sick? That's the joke of the season. Telling you, I just think it's incredible that people have such a like naivete about certain things. It's like I could see if it was a kid that asked me that, but just an adult that's had a job for 20 plus years, they think that an employer would be like, "Oh, you're not feeling good. We'll go home." No, they do not care. Because trust me, these last several days, they've probably seen the fact I was like in the bathroom for a little bit, and because I normally don't even use the bathroom in any of these places, but I was just my stomach was hurting so much, and then they've probably noticed, oh, this person's been coughing. You can hear them like sniffling and whatever, but it doesn't matter to them. They don't. It doesn't affect them. It doesn't bother them. It's not a big deal as long as they get their little crappy you know service from you. Then that's all that counts. It's just funny. Akatsuki merchant, are you okay? Would you like to be sent home? You'd never hear an employer say that to you. You could live 100 years and work 50 jobs, and you'd never hear a single employer at any major corporation that has several of its businesses around the state or country ask you if you're all right, and then send you home when you don't feel good. That would never happen. As long as they can get some money out of you, they don't care if you are limping or in a wheelchair. It does not matter. No, I had one of my well, I had two of them actually. I had one coworker who said, "We're friends, right?" And I was like, "I don't even know you." Because there's this guy that like walks past me and I, makes little noises or whatever. Uh, I was actually trying to hope that well, Megumi might not show up today. It's whatever. But I was just saying that during the last stream we had a conversation about how a lot of these businesses hire these people who I'm not going to call anybody any type of names, but these individuals who are good at trying to make it seem as though you have become something of a personal of an individual for whom they have a personal affinity for. So like you had this guy saying, "Oh, we're friends," or some like with a question mark at the end of it, seemingly, and my response is, "I don't even know you. Like, I talk to this person literally only when I'm at this job. Any other time of the day, any other day of the week, they do not exist. We do not make any interaction. We don't mingle. Uh, I mean, like, there's nothing there. It's a complete empty void husk of a relationship. That's it." I gave the example of I was at this the job where they used me 4 times, and the woman that was asking me about what my major was and what do I like to do, and I was rolling my eyes because the whole time I was thinking to myself, if I stop working here, which I have, I will never hear or see this person again, and that is exactly what has happened. But it's funny watching them pretend like actually act as if they're surprised that you don't consider them friends. And this guy that was asking me what I was planning on doing for the holidays or whatever, stupid question. Was like, "Oh, well, we're friends, right?" I was like, "When did we become friends?" Like I said it just like that because I'm like, we've spoken one time at length. We were doing a job together, and it's been like little barbs back and forth. I try to have like little jokes with people up there. Uh, but other than that, there's really no, you know what I'm saying? It's the same thing where like every interaction is limited to the fact that you and this person work at this place, not, oh, hey friend, he call you on the phone, hey, want to hang out this weekend? So after I ask it this way, he's like, oh, well, I thought, we were friends. I was like, I said point blank, I don't have friends, and then I said the name of the city. It's true. Like, I don't go to that city for any other reason than to go to a job. And when I finish the job, I get in my car and leave the city until I come back the next time to do that job. No one's bothered to call or send me anything. I'm used to it though. People don't give a damn about anything anymore. Oh yeah, I've only had like, I'm not kidding. I can count the number of relatives that have called me today to say Merry Christmas or something to the equivalent of it on one hand. Am I surprised? No. Am I shocked? No. Am I disappointed? I could say in a way, but it's whatever. Like I said, people don't give a damn about anything anymore. It's gonna be the same thing for my birthday. And remember, we're in an era now where people have phones where where it reminds you like, oh, it's this person's birthday, it's that person's birthday. That's one of the reasons why I don't forget. Like, I have relatives who just, I have it engraved in my memory what day of the year is their birthday. Uh, but a lot of these people who have, again, the same technology as me, right? Even if they find out, they still probably won't say anything because it's too much effort to call somebody. And man, my thing is the lack of concern is so transparent. Like for example, if I wanted to pretend I cared about a relative but didn't actually, I would go, okay, you know what? Here's this young boy, young girl, whatever. Maybe it's my cousin, maybe it's my brother's too young to have kids, but like nephew, niece. I see him, I say, hi, how are you doing? What's up? And then maybe once a week I'll call him and, ask the same stupid couple of questions. Um, but again, like even in doing that, which is like a bare minimum thing where it's just you running your mouth basically, because you're not saying, hey, let's go do something together. Let me get involved with you in this manner. Even that's like still more than what these people do. You have people who will swear up and down they love someone. This is one of my favorite all-time relatives. When's the last time you called them? Oh, last year. And that's love. Let me turn the brightness up. Uh, the only people who called me were my dad, my best friend, my aunt, my sister, and my ex-wife. Wow. Well, you got more than me. Knowing the ex-wife, she probably called you for some child support. Merry Christmas. Here's the letter. That would be the most like messed up thing to do to somebody, like on Christmas, just come to them with the letter for child support. That should be in a movie or like in some skit in the TV show. Where it's like, oh, you thought I was going to give you a gift? Well, I'd give you the best present of all. The penalty of not paying for your kid one time, even more money they want. That's why I said I mean to derail the topic here, but I got so disinterested with all that female stuff because we talked about like it's just rebooting, just starting over and over. Here's this woman, start talking to her. She laughs at whatever you're saying, acts like she's so interested in getting to know you. Da, da, da. Then at some point you kind of say, hey, maybe you want to do something together. Well, I don't like you like that. And then you start over with another one, and the same thing just repeats itself over and over. And I was like, isn't it sad that I talked about how I don't know anyone that's like under 40 that's married, like anyone that I in my lifetime have seen get married that's younger than their 50s or 60s. Like it's just people, like I see people who have kids and it's always out of wedlock, right? And it's like, why would I as a man want to participate in something that in most cases is more detrimental to the male, in the long term anyway, than the woman? Like why would I want to be put on child support? Why would I want to have a kid with a woman that I'm not married to? Like I don't see the point of it. I've already seen enough men get uh hung by courts over these kids. So why would I want to repeat that? No, they can never make the case for why that would be appealing to me. It's literally just, oh my god, perfect magic woman will show up and you'll live happily ever after. All this Disney fairy tale nonsense. And it's like, it's nonsense because even the people who actually get relationships still end up being miserable and like not getting what they wanted. Other than that, I've been spending Christmas alone. I don't know. I was thinking about the dingbat with the baby, and it's like, this is a girl that uh you go back, you get a time machine, you go back to when she was 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and ask yourself, think if you went up to her and said, hey, did you know that in 10 years you're going to be pregnant by a guy that doesn't have $2 to scrub together, who's not your husband? Do you really think she would have said, oh, I can't wait for that? No, no, because like that's not appealing. That's why I said all this romance stuff is just designed to screw you over. Like there's nothing for me to gain out of it. That's why I said the only people making any type of successful thing off of this romance stuff are these stupid dating coaches, these stupid dating websites. Really, the romance is at this point just a grift. Like it's a grift for the guys that make money off of all the like, nonsense advice. And it's a grift for for like the gold digging chicks. Oh, and it's a grift for the dating websites because they're like, you will find magic woman if you just pay us 1,000 a month or 500 a month. Just to hell with that. Started dating a girl recently, but I don't think it'll work. Well, make sure you don't make a video about it because some random guy will appear out of the clear blue sky to say it was your fault that it didn't go the way you wanted. You left a comment where you said it wouldn't work, so of course it didn't. You had a self-fulfilling prophecy. I'll make that video the romance grift. They're making money swift. The romance grift. They're making money swift. That's all you know how to do is just rip people off with all this nonsense advice about women. Like, another thing we never talked about is that like when I did my unpopular color, that was about, like the chicks that get paid to do that type of stuff being like, yeah, I'll do it with anyone except African Americans, right? And just how insane I thought that was, where it's like you get paid to do this stuff by men. but you're gonna take a whole ethnic group and say, I don't care if you have the money. And I'm serious. When I used to go on Backpage, I would see that over and over again. So, and it's like it wouldn't even matter if they were, like what they were. Like you had some uh white women that would do that, blacks, Hispanics, like it just all over they would have that. No AA, no African American. And I'm like, how do they get away with that? But remember, if I get on here and I say I'm angry about how it's just all this romance stuff, and I remember I'm crazy. My rage is not justified at all. Disappears for hours and then comes back claiming to miss me. But when I offer to chat, she'll be like, "Oh, I'm busy, so you don't miss me." LOL, you're just saying that. Well, there's a lot of mixed signals with these people. I mean, hey, if you saw the banana penalty, let's not forget the a non-romantic example where you've got this woman who's like, "Oh yeah, I can speak to you tomorrow," and then for the whole like date of the next day just disappears, then unfriends me, and then is like so outraged when they get a video made on him. No, they love the mixed signals, man. You can't trust anything they say. Can't really stay long. Just wanted to drop by a gift. Well, I appreciate it. I just wish that YouTube didn't take half the gift, so I'll probably get like 250 out of that. Dude, YouTube is so greedy, man. Like I remember when Jem donated, I think it was like $50, and I was shocked because he did that after I put out the LBJ part 4 documentary, and like I was like, oh cool, man, I could pay my whole thing of gas with that, and I look on there, it's like 25. I was like, man, so I don't know. Maybe if you guys do that more often, I'll make a PayPal or something. I just hate that the $1 billion site is like give us exactly half because remember they already get whatever you make off of ad revenue. So it really is just greed. They're like that one fat relative that ate a whole buffet before they go to a little kids party, and then they go and like eat a third of the cake at the party. But I appreciate it. Dude, YouTube is just they always like that's them just thieves, man. They're like, give me more. That's them. I swear this site, like I don't even know what to say other than it's embarrassing. They're a really sad group of people. No, I don't even like take it too seriously. It is what it is. Just hate that the site is so thirsty for anything you can get from somebody else. Because if they get paid, like if they're getting something off of whatever videos you have that are monetized, that really should be it. But they're like, oh, somebody donated. We need our cut. But it's okay. I'm used to being treated like I'm not important, even though they pay lip service to caring about me. Are you using my phrase now? Lip service? That's all this is. It's just people running their mouths. Like I told you, I had a period for 3 years where I was just unemployed. like perpetually unemployed, and not a single. I didn't have every single relative talking trash, but there were like a steady several that were just kept, running their mouth. Not a single one of them helped me to get a job. Not one. Year after year. And I was like, well, if you're so bothered by this, why don't you help? Because it's just lip service. I care so much about this person that I will not sit down with them to do something that is completely free. So like, people lie, man. They love pretending to be something they're not. I'm telling you, these sites like just it's greed. It's greed. Yeah, I see why people are. They always talk about you have to be like this giant, huge creator to make like a profit off of here. A lot of that isn't even from just like not getting views. It's that YouTube takes a big portion of whatever revenue you get, like whether it's a donation or whatever you made from ads. Like they just don't care. Well, they don't care enough to give you most of it because you're the person that made the stuff. They're like, well, it's our site, so we'll just keep scraping away from you. Uh, what they mean is, I care about you when it's convenient for me. Oh yeah, I mean, I said that about my job, where it's like you have these people who will walk past you, sometimes five, six, eight, not 10 different times a day, and unless they want something from you, they won't say a single word at all. You know, I had this coworker, it's a female, and she was assigned to train me, or I guess show me a little how to do certain stuff on my second or third day. And she acted, I guess, relatively pleasant, whatever. But I noticed that after that first or second day, she started to kind of, what's a good way of putting it? Sort of, I don't want to say retreat, but it's like a subtle thing that people do where, hey, we're all laughing about this thing, and then I look at you, I'm just like, you're like, okay, that's kind of like notice the person is sort of distant towards you. And I had actually spoken to one of my coworkers about this, and we were very confidential with each other because he told me about this person he didn't like. I don't even know who the guy is, so it was whatever. But I mentioned this to him, and he's like, "Oh, that's just how she is. That's just who she is." And then one day, it was earlier this week actually, or might have been last week. I get assigned to do this duty with this guy. The guy's nice, but she comes and she starts like speaking to him, and man, she is flirting with this guy like there's no tomorrow. And I'm like, wait a second. So all this stuff about, oh, that's just the way that she is, either he was mistaken or that was a lie, because here she is around this other person, and she's completely outgoing and making jokes, and certainly acting much more like a human being towards this man than I had been shown. So I said, well, it looks like to me, because I noticed this with some of the other ones over there. I'm just gonna say this. I think some of that stuff over there has to do with problem with people, two-faced, broad. You know what? It's two-faced, but I think there's something else behind it, and it's something I might get in trouble for saying on YouTube. So I'll just put it like this: her, that giant one that I was telling you about, that's like that wore the makeup or whatever to look pretty yesterday. I think they are, what's going to put it? So like in the South, the idea of prejudice, or like you put on your white cloak and you burn a cross in front of somebody's house. Well, over here it's a lot more subtle, where maybe somebody doesn't, you know, call you, a slur or anything, but the way they look at you or the way they like speak to you, or maybe the kind of general indifference and sort of, oh, I gotta deal with this person again. They're like real purposeful gaps. I think that's their way of showing their prejudice, because it doesn't make any sense why this person acts like it's not like you've done something to them, and they have other black people that work there, and I'm just gonna say it. I haven't seen her or that particular manager really act nice towards any of those. I think it's 4 or 5 other blacks that work there. So this just it's just my theory. I could be wrong. I normally don't even like to say that type of stuff about people but I just haven't noticed that at a job before. Because usually most of the places I work are so small that all the people there kind of like get along. But this is the first time I've really worked somewhere that's in a whole other part of the state. And the way that some of these other people have been acting, it's been a new experience. I'll put it that way. So yes, she is two-faced, absolutely, but it's not just two-faced for no reason. I think it has to do with a more subtle version of prejudice. And I really take no delight in saying that. I'm not trying to pretend if somebody doesn't like me, it's because they don't. No, I'm just saying that it's like most of the people there, if you speak directly to them, they act like they actually want to speak to you, unless maybe they're very busy or something. These two, and there's another one that does it a little bit as well, but I can't really gauge it as much because I haven't interacted with that one as many times. They act like they're so irritated just by your presence. Like I was cleaning this stuff one day earlier this week, and the big manager comes up and goes, I'm going to need you to do this faster. I'd like to not be here all night. And this is about 3 hours before we're even supposed to get out of here. And I'm like, I don't say anything, but I'm just thinking to myself, man, that's a really like antagonistic thing to say to someone that is going as fast as they can on something that certainly would be faster if it were two people. And every time I've interacted with that particular manager, it has always been like him again, that type of just doesn't even want to deal with you type of thing that I've picked up on that one. So again, this is just my theory. You can say I'm crazy for pushing that position, but I I, I just don't see any other reason why they act like this besides that. I think it's prejudice. I think that most people are not like that, but when you're working somewhere with 30, 40 people, there are going to be some that have a problem with you over your unpopular color, and I think it's those ones that have the problem. Magui said, "Dude, what the? I really don't like people like her. I try and stay away from people like her." And that manager, what the hell? Dude, you should have seen the manager. Like she had on this eyeliner and the glitter, and I'm like, that's like putting lipstick on a pig. I mean, it's not going to erase the weight. Happy holidays to you. Happy holidays, Chad. Hope everyone is all right. I just treat those people like they don't exist. Well, it's hard to do that with a manager. You kind of have to acknowledge them. I'm just saying that Magumi, California has this image of it as being this like utopia of anything goes and we all accept each other and kumbaya. But there are certain parts of this state that you go to them, you might as well be in like the newer version of the South. And I went to the South earlier this year, Georgia and Alabama, and I didn't receive anything as hostile. And again, I was only out there for a few days, but I didn't receive anything as hostile, whether it was subtle or direct, as what I'm getting at this job with these same 2 3 people. And it's always some, I don't know what it is. It's always some angry or upset or passive aggressive woman that like acts this way. I don't know why, because they have a you know white manager, for example. Every time he sees me, he says, "Hey, hey." I was like, "Oh, how are you?" So this is not some thing where everyone there is just this big bigot, but I do think those three there's something wrong with. So, dude, at the in Alabama, they were over there waving, and I don't know. People seemed happier. Dude, that's almost as close to slavery. Like seriously, it's just in very subtle ways. I tell you, people they act like to be a bigot, you have to call somebody out of their name and burn a cross in front of their house and wear a white robe. No, over here they do it a lot more covertly. It's like you're gonna do this, and then you go and you ask them a question. Take it over there, and then when they get in front of the other whites, they're all smiling. Oh, what are you guys talking about? And then when you come, you're gonna put this right here. You're going to do this. And again, you know that not all of these managers are like that because you've seen the other ones act nice, ask you how you're doing. I have never once seen a single one of these three because there's another one that's Hispanic. And again, I'm not, saying anything about anybody's ethnicity here, but I'm just pointing this out. That is kind of similar. They're again, I haven't been around them as many times, but they just seem irritated by my presence. So I used to work in an environment like that too. It was so weird and horrible. Man, the days where they're not there, I'm over there celebrating. Like, yes, my the two managers I don't like aren't here. Great. Over there celebrating and bursting with confetti. He said two-faced broad. I'm just imagining she's like in the next Batman movie and she's got the coin and like the half burn. Oh, Megumi, I'm glad you came because I was going to tell you there's a guy that was at the job with me who was asking me what I was going to do for the holidays, and it was like this weird question because I'm going right back the next day. You get one day off, that's it. And he was like saying that he thought we were friends, and I said, "When did we become that?" And he was like, "Oh, when we spoke," and there's like, I was like, and I said point blank, "I don't have any friends in this city," and I said the city's name. Uh, and you know what I'm getting at, which is I don't have a problem with being friends with people, but we discussed this before. If you've never spoken to someone or done anything with someone outside of when you work with them, and you know that the second you stop working in this place, all of your interactions with this person will cease. How close of friends are you with that person in actuality? Yeah, so just because you speak doesn't mean you're automatically That's what I tried to say. You know how many people I've worked with and had a good dialogue with, and after I stopped working there, I've never seen them again. Like it doesn't matter. I was really friendly with the staff at the retailer I was with last year. I was nice to everyone there. I don't think I had a single that might have been the only job I've ever had where there wasn't a single person I worked with that I like outright dislike. Like there was a black girl that was there that was kind of like stern, like you could almost feel like she just enjoyed bossing people around. Uh, but I didn't like actively go, oh man, she's working there. There was another black lady. She was always running around. She was like Sonic. But you get my point that I've had plenty of places where I've worked and they've had people I liked that I still wouldn't call my friend. And after I stopped working there, I never saw him again. So I bursted his bubble. I said, no, I don't have any friends in this city. I go here, I do my job, I go back home, try to lay down, recover from this illness that's been ravaging me for almost a week now. because you will only talk if you work with them. Exactly. They don't reach out to me. I've not not at a single job I've ever had have I had someone go up and say, "Hey, what's your number?" Not once. Or try to reach out to me outside of the only time they reach out outside of when you're working there is the manager and they're trying to see if you can work the next day or this week or whatever. That's the only time they've reached out outside of when I'm there. The rest of the day, the rest of the year, you might as well not even exist. God, people throw around friends like so casually. So the only friends we have in common is the TV show. But I just thought it was like comical that like grown adults actually think you're friends with them because you work with them. Like, no, we're not friends. It's just when you say it bluntly, they may take it as rude when you're just being honest. Like, it's the truth. I don't consider anyone I work with friends unless they actually speak and do things with me. Like I took one of my coworkers. I hate the fact that people have to pay these riding services to go to a job because ride services charge outrageous sums of money for like the most basic stuff, in my opinion. And it doesn't make any sense to me like if I went somewhere and made 300 a day, I wouldn't care about taking a $40, drive over there because whatever I'm making is like way more. But if you have to spend $40 or 200 excuse me 100 plus a week just to go to your job that where you make like 500 a week at best, that's stupid. So I actually drove one of my coworkers back to his place one night, and even in doing that and seeing where he lives, I still wouldn't say we're friends because again we only speak when we're on the job. We don't deal with any of this fake interest. Yeah, I forget that. Tell you this is the era of fake concern, fake interest, fake friends. Everything is just fraud. It's fake and waste. Those are the two key words of this decade: fake and waste. Nothing's real. Anything that could actually be good or decent, they ruin. They don't use it to its fullest extent. The era of fraud and waste. Oh, Jim, I'd never thank you for the $50 on LBJ Part 4. I think I told you that YouTube takes half of it, so I only got, you know, 25, but I appreciate it anyway. That's I'm more so mad at the site than you because they like to sit over there and take everything that somebody gets on here. No, they drive me crazy with that. Somebody will donate $1 and YouTube will be like, "Oh, here's 50 cents." They are so greedy. I just think certain contributions, if they're really small, they shouldn't mess with them. But whatever, they'll do what they want to do on their site. Oh, it is a scam. But hey, that's how these big boys are. They don't get big from hard work anymore. They get big from squeezing every nickel and penny. That's why we discussed this before, Megumi. You'll have billionaires, people with 8-digit revenue that will hire illegal immigrants and pay them like $3 an hour purposefully so that they can pay these people less than regular workers and save more money for themselves because they know that they'll take anything. I wish I found that old there was a Twitter somebody posted a Twitter. It wasn't even a meme. It was like a like some screenshot from somebody's like help wanted sign where you had to have a bachelor's degree to babysit this lady's 4 kids, and then you were only going to make, I think it was like 1,000 a week or something. And I was, I was like, why do you need a bachelor's degree just to watch some brats? It's like, oh, here's my political science degree. Time to watch some kids for a whole week. No, the qualifications for some of this stuff, especially the ones that are imposed by non-businesses, can get kind of insane. Like I get background checks, but when I have some job talking about we need a picture of your high school diploma, when they can just call the school I went to and confirm this person graduated years ago. I say you guys can have it. It's just at a certain point the verification stuff just starts getting kind of, what's the way of putting it? A little too overt for my taste. And because all of the jobs that do that, from what I've seen, are all like part time, I don't even care about, appealing to them because it's like, you guys, I still wouldn't be able to live off this anyway. I remember the job where it was like they wanted 3 references, three professional, 3 personal. Um, I'm not kidding. The one I'm at now, when I interviewed with the manager or one of the managers, he asked me what were my interests, and I was like, I mean, I knew I answered, easily, but it's like it's just I don't know. I just stuff starts getting too personal. Like it's when they ask, "Are you going to be? Can we expect you to stay with us for 6 months or a year? Right? Are you going to go and ship off to war?" At least with that, it's a legitimate question of, "Hey, how long can we expect to retain this person?" Right? Like a staffing thing. But these other questions, man, it just gets weird. We want all your references. Well, I would rather them ask me about my interests instead of references. I'm just saying that at least with a question like, "Do you plan on doing anything that would prevent you from being that's at least related to the longevity of an employee." Um, and the interest thing you can just chalk down to, them trying to pretend like they care about getting to know you. Because I'm telling you, that stuff never factors in. Like every time I go to one of these interviews, I'm like, "Oh yes, I like history and I like to draw and I like to write." It's like they don't actually. Like the whole time you work there, this stuff never comes up again. They act like they're going to sit there and discuss with you the an overview of, I don't know, the Civil War or something. Just I have been feeling really bad for Jim because every time he tries to go to the movies and see a film, he has to spend like $50. That's why the only people he donates to anymore besides myself are the Fox News channel and, and CNN. He gives them both like $1 a year. It's just all the expenses of these blockbusters. Oh, Megumi, I never even told you about Indiana Jones 5 because I didn't know this when I was streaming on Saturday. That movie cost 300 million to make, and it made let me see. I know it bombed. But I'm trying to see by how much. Uh, I had no idea they spent that much on that film. I really had no clue. Like that shocked me because normally it's like 200 million. That's like the cap off point for a lot of this stuff, a little bit over 200 million. Um, to spend damn near a third of a billion on creating something and then expecting it to like not only have to make back 300 million, but then also make another 300 million and then make even more than that. Oh my God. I forgot its name, Dial. That was a stupid title, The Dial of Destiny. Oh, these films, they just get more and more expensive. How much to make? 384 million. So that movie cost Disney of at least 100 million. So like the one thing that this year will be remembered for is the death of the blockbuster. On this one hand, and maybe a finger, I can count every successful major blockbuster that came out this year. It was Spider-Verse, Barbie, Oppenheimer, Guardians 3. It's basically it. Oh, by the way, Megumi, I actually met somebody at my job that saw the Marvels, and they were like, "It wasn't even that bad." I was like, "It flopped," and he said, "So what? Disney has a whole bunch of money," and I didn't even bother telling him about how when you're a company, because like for example, if Ant-Man 3 back at the start of the year just made $1 billion, they could say, "Hey, you know what? This other one didn't is doing really bad, but this other one did really good." Then okay, they're 2 for 1, right? But when you have one movie that's supposed that underperforms, and even that's being nice about it, and then you have another one towards the end of the year that completely tanks, and then you've got some show on Disney Plus that's costing 25 million an episode to make and people aren't watching it. It's a free fall. You're rapidly losing millions and million, but they don't think of it that way. They just look at everything as, oh, this company is very wealthy, which they are. Uh but they're clearly in panic mode, which is why they pushed back Captain America 4. It's why they're doing all those damn reshoots. It's why they got rid of the actor that plays Kang after they found out he was treating his girlfriend like a punching bag. I mean, it's they're panicking. And even if the stupid casual viewer doesn't realize it, the people running the company certainly do. Not a lot of people consider the nuances of underperformed movies that really impact the company. I've had to explain multiple times what breaking even means. Like, if we make a Megumi movie and the budget is $100 million, at a minimum, the Megumi movie has to make 200 million to break even. If it costs 100 million to make, it has to make back 100 million, add twice as much, right? Because of promotion, all the rest of that stuff, and then go even past that to be profitable. People do not, they really think like, well, this movie cost 200 million to make and it made 200 million. So they made it. No, no, no. You see what the actual issue, right, is that movies are just costing too much to make. Like they're just spending too much on this stuff. That's really the actual problem. Um, but they don't want to address that, so they just throw out large sums of money. Like for example, if I made a movie for $2,000 and it played in theaters, hell, even if it was only in like 5 theaters, and it ended up making back 10,000, that still was a profit for me because it broke even at 4,000, and then it got even twice as much as what it cost to make. But because they spend so much just to make these damn things, It means that the audience has to be very invested into this stuff for it to even have a chance of making back what it costs, let alone turning a profit. See, if they made that Indiana Jones movie for like 100 million, 75 million, then the 384 million it made would actually be pretty good. That would have been a profit. Good example. Spider-Man 3 was the most expensive movie ever made when it was I believe it was like over 200 million, somewhere around. But guess what? It made over 800 million. Highest grossing film of the Raimi trilogy. So that it justified its cost. Critical reception notwithstanding, it was a commercial, excuse me, a financial success. There's no way to spin it. That movie made so much money. Sony, they're still trying to replicate that all these years later. And the only one they've done since then got anywhere close was Venom. And I already explained that's because they tricked people into thinking it was part of the MCU. Wow, that's awesome. Really glad to know that. No, I'm just explaining that if you have a very popular IP, um, and you know that people are going to see this in record numbers and droves, then it makes sense to spend a lot of money on something. But when you're making movies about characters that are not really that well known or that well liked or whatever, it doesn't make sense to spend that kind of money on it. I just find this really interesting because Hollywood never had this type of problem before this year, where almost every major film that's coming out is just bombing. And even if they don't bomb outright, they're still not doing that good. Like Aquaman 2 just came out not even a week ago, a few days ago. And like I keep forgetting about it. It's a huge gamble. They're taking it. But you understand where when you're talking about Spider-Man or Batman or Superman or X-Men or very few films of those different series I just brought up were not profitable. Like some of these IPs are so big that you can spend 100 million, 200 million, and you're going to make it back because it's Spider-Man, it's Batman, it's Superman. They spend 200 million on a I'm talking about the Marvels here, a movie about a character who a lot of people really do not like, myself included, and then two other characters that it's like they've only been on stuff on a streaming service that most people haven't even seen. So when it underperforms and fails, they come up with every cope reason for it. Oh, the actors couldn't promote it. The actors couldn't promote it. No, nobody wanted to see it. You spent too much money on a movie that nobody cared about. Like it made 200 million. They should have probably had that thing priced at around 100 million. If they priced it around 100 million, it would have at least broke even. It wouldn't have been some big success, or even it would like it would have been a much less of a bomb if they had just cut the price in half. And why the hell do you even need 200 million for a movie like that? It still looks like crap. Dude, that's the funniest thing. They spend so much money on these movies and they look like trash. Like, because the VFX artists I already explained before, they have to like rush all this stuff through. No, the history of the most expensive movies is actually really fascinating. Like, what was it? Superman 1978 was like 55 million to make, and that was at the time the most expensive movie. And it was um, the first and second film were actually filmed back to back, and it's like a nice two-parter. Oh man. And I see that Gem decided to disappear again. He always comes and makes a little cameo. He'll probably be in the MCU next. They're gonna be hiring anybody off the street at this point. I felt really bad for the actress that played Miss Marvel. Like that was her first movie ever, and it flopped that bad. Like, oh my god. I don't even normally have like empathy for actors in most cases because it's like these are the richest people usually, but or busy watching Barbie for the 100 for. You know what? You can make that joke, but honestly, Barbie was. I'm glad it made $1 billion, and I'm glad it did better than all these stupid superhero movies because it's actually a nice little fun film with some kind of like low stakes. It's got an IP that people are familiar with, but it tries to do its own original type story, not the same old boy gets his powers from being bitten by this love interest and super villain or whatever. I'm glad Barbie did as good as it did, and I'm glad Oppenheimer, you know, is at like 900 million. I'm glad. So we made that joke, but I honestly would rather watch Barbie probably 10 times before I'd watch any of the superhero films that came out this year besides Spider-Verse 2 and maybe Guardians 3. I'm dead serious. Like that's actually a movie I did enjoy. I'll take it over 80 or 90% of the sludge of this genre that these people are killing off with all the generic nonsense. I did enjoy the first Aquaman. I mean, you can't go wrong with Willem Dafoe playing a nice supporting role. There's when you stick him in the movie, that's an automatic victory. But he's not in the sequel, I guess because of a scheduling conflict. And I've been hearing mixed reviews. So I did like the first Aquaman though. I don't know about the second one. I haven't seen it yet. I don't even know if I will see it. I might just say forget it. But I think that movie's doing bad more so because of the fact that they said, yeah, this is the end of the universe. So people are like, well, this doesn't matter anymore. Could you imagine if before Spider-Man 3 came out, Sony was like, hey, this is the end of Raimi's films. We're going to do a reboot and nothing matters following the people would have been like, what in the what so what's the point? That's really bad marketing. Because whenever you have a franchise, you're supposed to get people excited to keep, you know, being invested in it. So to announce before it even comes out, like, yeah, that's it. They are really stupid. But no, first Aquaman was a nice little film. I thought it was cool. I wish the second one had come out faster because then they could have possibly made a third one before they did this company wide reboot. But it is what it is. It's crazy to think about this. DC has been trying to start a cinematic universe since Green Lantern in 2011, and now they're on their third attempt. And Marvel's just been going and going and go. That's nuts. That just tells you they don't know what they're doing. I'm not even kidding. I really think at some point in the next 10, 20, or even 30 years, people will look back at this year's films or blockbusters more specifically and just like try to diagnose why they're all flopping and failing. Because it's not a minor. This is something that 3, 4, 5 years ago no one would have seen coming, or at least if they said it would eventually happen, they wouldn't have thought it'd be this soon. Hollywood is over. I'm just imagining that a Kotsky merchant goes to theater with his girlfriend and she's like, "Oh, want to see Aquaman 2?" And they go in there, it's just empty. Dude, that's like the best joke ever. I'm like trying to have intercourse in a theater, and all you have to do is just go to a superhero movies showing because no one's watching it. What would you say was Hollywood's best decade of movies? Probably the 80s. I mean, you had Terminator, you had Rocky, you had all the slashers. I don't know, man, it feels like each decade after the 80s in terms of entertainment probably like what's a good way of putting it? So I explained to you before that I'm not even trying to like derail topics or anything, but Marvel really hit its stride in like that latter part of the 60s where you had, X-Men, Fantastic Four, Avengers, Spider-Man, Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor, Daredevil, just they're big characters, right? And all these different characters besides X-Men started like, we're going strong from that point up until the 80s closed out. And it's when you get to the 90s where it's all this dark, edgier crap that they start canceling books and relaunching them, putting them at issue one again, having these weird stories that are kind of like just there to get people to read the stuff that they're not reading anymore. Um, I don't know. It just seems like the 80s was a period where there was a lot of creativity, and now even when they do something new when it comes to either Hollywood or some other, you know, medium, it's either too similar to something we've already seen before, or it's what's the way of putting it? It's not. It's just not as effective. Like you look at a lot of these films now with these remakes. Why did the Little Mermaid need a remake in live action? Why does Snow White need a remake? If they wanted to remake the animation, I wouldn't have a problem with that. But why do I need to see a movie that was good as a cartoon done worse in live action? I'm just saying there is a real steep decline in entertainment that begins in the 90s, and it just starts it creeps. Like there's stuff, good stuff that comes out in these, last 3 decades. But I'm just saying that for every time you have that period where there's some good stuff coming out, there's trash that's just, kind of like getting through as well. And now it seems like the trash has overridden the good things that were being made. I do like how you describe the 80s strengths with movies, certainly agree. Well, I think I explained to you, I've seen more films in the last 3 years than any other point in my life. I'm always checking out stuff I haven't seen before. So I'm not gonna say I'm some qualified film historian, but I do notice, you know, the differences in just entertainment in terms of how it was back then versus how it is now. And that was one of the reasons I really liked Barbie. It felt like something not necessarily from the 80s, but it felt different from what I'm used to seeing. It was a fun, goofy little movie. But the 80s had a lot of creativity. I mean, we don't even have to bring up aliens. I mean, I'm just saying that nowadays when you get the remakes and the reboots and the even the attempts at making something new don't really seem to land that much. Um, it's just you notice like, yeah, this is things are not as good as they used to be. But I do think a big part of it is kind of self-inflicted where it's like the main films that really have dominated the box office over the last 10 years have been superhero movies, which are in and of themselves adaptations of another medium, right? Comics. And whereas you had someone like Sam Raimi, who was a fan of Spider-Man, loved the character, oh my God, big reader back in the day. A lot of this stuff is just corporate assembly crap. It's like uh these companies just don't care. They don't hire people that are actually trying to do some great job and make some amazing film. They're all just attempting to start franchises and have 50 sequels, and it it really affects the overall product. Kind of makes me sad about Toy Story 4 ended up. You know what? I'd still take that over these superhero movies. Because I tell you, animation is on its way out. See, that's really a huge shame. Where is the care and passion when making these movies nowadays? Dude, let me just say this. We're getting to a point where people who make movies about certain things haven't even read what like the actual stuff they're making it on. Like you've had actors that will go and read comics because, hey, I'm playing this character in a movie. They'll hire directors that have never even read a comic before. And then after they get hired, they don't even read it. They don't watch any of the adaptations. They don't care. And of course the studio doesn't care because as long as somebody's punching someone and there's some okay sounding music and punch punch kick kick bang bang that we're supposed to sit here and be like, ooh, great amazing movie, sign me up. But it does when they get these box office returns that blow up in their face from just how disappointing it is, then suddenly they go, okay, well, we need to course correct. We need to reevaluate ourselves. I told you, Sony is run by idiots because they want to hold on to the Spider-Man rights so much that they will literally burn money just to do that. They have this dumb cinematic universe that doesn't even have its character in it, its lead character in it. And they're making 3 movies next year that are all probably going to underperform and be crap, and no one will be talking about them in any amount of time from now other than to look back and laugh at how stupid it was to even make it in the first place. Well, No Way Home was different because look, with that film you had a collaboration between 2 companies. You had writers who actually consulted the actors and the directors of the films they were snatching these characters away from. um I mean, Maguire himself did like purposely asked for the details of his character's life after Spider-Man 3 to not be made deliberately stated, like purposely left it vague. So that one was different because there was actually some effort and passion thrown in there. But the rest of this stuff, they don't care. I'm not even a big Avatar fan, but it's like even with those blue people, at least Cameron actually, you know, he waited all those years because he was trying to make sure the technology existed to film underwater. So that's someone that is trying to do something different or innovative. and I'm still wondering why they are releasing a movie of Madam Web because they're out of ideas. They're throwing anything at the wall to see what sticks. And I already told you, Madam Web apparently is going to be a Terminator ripoff. Oh, we need to stop this villain from uh, killing the mother of Peter Parker before he's born. So they're it's sad, man. It really is. They own the rights to this character, and they are going to milk it for every cent. It's a real shame and an embarrassment too. I tell you, studios are just everyone's looking for a profit. When they write a script, they see a dollar sign before they even see one one word written on there. See oversaturated. Well, that's the other problem that movies are expensive. Like, listen, I don't come on here and play economic, consultant. Like, I don't pretend I'm some rich person. I want you to think about this. If you're a normal, because just human being, right? Let's say you want to go see Aquaman. That's probably gonna be like $15, maybe even 20. Okay, let's say you want to go with two people. That's gonna be like $30, maybe even 40. Let's say you want a drink and some popcorn. If you want an icy, as you saw me discuss multiple times before, that's $6. And then if you want some snacks or whatever from the not the vending machine, but like from that little middle section, that could be anywhere from two, three, four, five, six. So by the time you even get in the seat to finally watch this movie, you've already spent like almost like half of $100. You and these other people, and that's not even counting how much stuff they want as well. So when you have a difficult economic time for a lot of people and a bunch of movies coming out back to back to back to back to back, people are going to be very selective about which ones they go to see. And when you're putting out films that people really are not excited for, because I don't know anyone that was talking about, oh, I can't wait to go see the Marvels, then you're going to end up with a movie that bombs, that flops, underperforms, especially when they come out with budgets as big as the ones these superhero films have. So it's very oversaturated. Like, dude, there's no way in hell Marvel and DC back in the day would be stupid enough to put out just hypothetical a Superman movie in March, and then a Spider-Man movie at the in April, and then a Batman movie at like 2 weeks after the because they would know that people wouldn't have the money to just keep going to the theater back to back like that. But they do it now because they don't care. They all they're concerned about is making their profit. They put up their little stupid commercials, and then when their movie flops, they lose a bunch of money and then try again in a few years. They never learn their damn lesson. But there's a lot of factors. It's people not being able to pay off for all this stuff. Just it costs too much. It's the films themselves not really being anything we haven't seen a million times already. Um, we can go down the list. There's a lot of factors that go into that. Hey, you should have seen my face when I saw. I thought I was like, okay, maybe that's really how this woman at this job acts, where she just stares at you or doesn't say anything to you. unless she wants something. I guess that's just how some people are. And then when that guy was there, she was making all those jokes, trying to flirt with him. I was like, oh my god. I was like, yeah, now I know. And I kept notes and I said, it's interesting. I never see them acting jokey or cavalier or just like in a happy, casual, smiling mood ever towards any of the several black people that work there. Fascinating. Yeah, but what you said is an important factor about the average consumer. Like, damn, so much of these movies are expensive to watch. And remember, I'm a single person, and at most I'll maybe take my brother. Some people have a kid, two kids, a wife, and you're talking at that point $30-$40 just to see one film, not even counting how much it costs to get the little crappy food they have in the theater. So the expenses are one thing, but also the oversaturation adds on top of it because the more, like, I hate to say less is more, but it is. So if Marvel only had two movies a year that were actually about characters people liked, and they spaced them out by 6 months, and then these other companies had like one film a year too, and they spaced them out, then somebody might realistically be able to afford going to see you know several of these a year. But when they're coming out each week, sometimes on the same day, it's too much, especially when people don't feel incentivized to watch it because they think they've already seen it before. Tell you, in 5 years nobody's going to be talking about, if anyone brings up Ant-Man 3, they're just going to talk about how crazy it is that that movie was supposed to set up the new main villain, or was supposed to have set up the new main villain for the whole universe, and then he got dropped after that movie for acting crazy, being a real life villain. Oh, and if anyone talks about the Marvels in 5 years, it'll be because they're like still shocked that it flopped and was the first MCU film to be a box office bomb out of any of them. That's really impressive. 15 years of nothing but financially successful movies. Whether critics liked them or not, they were always financially successful, and that one finally broke the camel's back. That's historic. Megumi, a 15-year record, 30 plus movies, and this one's the one that just couldn't cut it financially. Just couldn't make back what it costs. I'll just stream. Yeah, a lot of people do that. I don't blame them. Like I said, if you wanted to see these films, you're gonna have to spend like 200. If you honestly try to see each one of these blockbusters, you're gonna end up spending at least several $100s just from the tickets by themselves. And if you want to throw in your family or some other people, it's gonna cost even more. So I would recommend just streaming it, or I you won't see me shedding any tears for these companies because they treat their employees like trash. So I'm not gonna fault anyone that doesn't want to give them some money. I'll just stream it. Oh, that's another reason that a lot of these blockbusters will go on a streaming service after like the first month. So some people are like, okay, well, what's the point of me watching this in theaters if you guys are just going to release on a streaming service anyway? Like, Why would I go and watch the Marvels in theaters in November when I can just wait till the beginning of January for it to be on Disney Plus for free, or rather for $7 a month or however much it costs for stuff on there. They have no sympathy for their employees. No, Hasbro last week fired over 1,000 people. Just all these jobs just gone. So no, companies don't care. They will end you as fast as they can. Mm. I tell you, I never thought see there were people they can just fire hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of people without even batting an eye. Like you just wake up one day and oh your job is gone and your friend's job is gone and the guy that worked across the hall from you, his job is gone. Goodbye. Just like when I came there yesterday, they had the managers bragging about cutting hours. It's like you guys told me I'd be here. Very very scary stuff because you don't know if you're going to be one of those employees until you see your name on that list. And that's the part that disturbs me the most. So if they're not making enough of a profit, which is not the fault of the employees. You can't blame the employees for why no one wants to buy your trash. Uh, you'll get rid of them. They'll take the fall for it. How do we make back the profit that we should have made if we had better products? Oh, let's get rid of the people who are making our stuff for us. And like I said, the CEOs aren't missing a meal from these layoffs. The manager's not going, oh man, how am I going to pay my rent next month? No, it's just the regular people that get thrown off and gotten rid of. Because like I said, to all these companies, you're just a body. You're just a little tool that they can throw away, and whether you live or die, they couldn't care less. You don't matter. Let me see if this woman is going to be here tomorrow. Be there tomorrow, rather. Uh, I'm telling you, it does me no pride to say that people don't like me because of my ethnicity, but I really I don't know what else that the way they act, like what other reason it would be besides that. So this is a rare occasion where I'm gonna have to just that's what my speculation is. Uh, who all is there? Oh, she will be there. By the way, there was actually we've talked about these women and how they have like they turn on you so fast. Man, there was this one woman who I spoke to her and she was like, "Oh, how are you? And are you closing tonight as well?" It's kind of like pleasant, right? And then after that, ever since that first or second encounter where it was pleasant, it's been nothing but angered or annoyed stares or just all types of weird. And I asked point blank. I said, did I do something wrong? She's like, no, I don't know what you mean. It's like, but every time she walks past with her little nose ring, won't say hello unless you say something directly to her. And every time you lock eyes with this person, it's always that same irritated or annoyed kind of look. I'm like, man, this is stupid. I directly asked her. I said, "Hey, did I do something wrong? Have I hurt you in some way I wasn't familiar with? Because I it doesn't make any sense to me. Like, why would you be this upset looking toward someone that hasn't done anything to you?" I said, "I thought the light was busted." Mm. I'm telling you, you just can't win with these people. They have split personalities as far as the eye can see. That's why I just wish they didn't speak to me at all. Don't even engage with me other than work. I don't need this vain, this weird interaction. Man, I'm telling you, she was so nice that first day, and then she got nasty, asking me how I was doing and if I was working that night and how I am. And after that, they will turn on you like a switch. You just they will turn on you like the switch you just turned on. Oh, there was another one that did that where she came up to me, a little petite woman. She's like, "Do you have an iPhone charger?" And I said, "I do, but it's in my car." Uh, because I don't I have nowhere to charge it inside the building, so I'm not going to bring it in there. And the next time I was there, I had it in my pocket, and I said, "Hey, I've got my charger, so we'll have power, right? Like as a kind of like as a friendly thing of, hey, if you want to use it this time, I have it." And she didn't take me up on the offer, but whatever. But you would think like, hey, this would be a friendly thing afterward. The next time I saw her, I tried to like say hello, didn't respond. Walked past me, won't say a word, and at one point I just like basically threw my hands up and said, not like physically but just like whatever. uh she started to in the like within this past week to kind of revert back to how she acted at first. But yeah, you're correct, they just switch on you like a light switch. Acted so nice when she wanted something, and then you're like a pest when they don't need you anymore. They just toss you away. I said, I brought my charger in here just for her. I don't just share my charger with anybody. I'm not a charger uh hooker. Watch me get demonetized over that one word. It's whatever. Before the streams, even you click the button and they, dude, I put that thing in my pocket and had like just for her to be able to use it. And then after that, she acted so like distant and weird. And it's almost always the chicks that act like that. There's no guys that have the bipolar thing. It's always the chicks every time. I'm serious. Like, I know from the content I make, it sounds biased of me to say this, and I do pledge that I'm not trying to insist every woman up there or that exists is some crazy person, but most of the like really weird "I was nice on Monday, now I hate you on Tuesday" stuff is from women. Why treat a person this way? They don't, because they just want to get something out of you. If they can't get out of you, then they act like you don't exist. So I said, man, you just cannot win. They treat people like they're second class citizens. I'm telling you, I'm gonna start doing that where I'm gonna have like two personalities. I'll go to the job and and like not say anything for a whole day, just like this. And then the next day, hey, what's up? Just see if anyone notices. I tried as hard as I could to treat everyone there with some level of respect, with some decency. Uh, but with some people, you just no good deed goes unpunished. Man, I'm telling you, I really just I don't know. I'm glad about the hours I get. And I said for the two main things I've despised are the what's the way of putting it? The drive, because how long it is to get over there, and the parking lot is really small. Um but no, the true worst thing have been these three people. Like anytime I have a shift and they're there, I'm just like, oh, here we go. 7 hours of this person, 5 hours of that person. They're the worst part, hands down. And I really do just try to stay out of their way because they get mad at you over anything with these jobs nowadays. Oh, by the way, we're probably going to end up having a sequel to Robbery in Broad Daylight, but it's not about this one. It's about the do you want to have a place to live when you come back? Because that person, I'm telling you, man, I don't know how people do so many illegal things and they just don't go to jail. Like I couldn't imagine for I couldn't imagine stealing a candy bar, let alone however many thousands of dollars. That's nuts. Is it the managers and coworkers? I'll have to watch the stream on the replay. Well, it's the one of the managers, the big one is the one I was saying is like that's that one, and then there's one who's like smaller, who I don't really like either, but I don't have as much of a problem with. They both just seem to kind of like want me out of the way and be annoyed by my presence. And then this other woman who's like a little petite girl that acts really distant for some reason, and I said I do think that's probably due to bigotry because they act this way from what I've seen towards all the other black people that are there. Um, but yeah, that's the theory I have. I don't normally like to bring up race, but I really can't think of anything else it is. When you haven't done anything to someone that you work with, um, and you feel like they're like frosty towards you in terms of their demeanor, and they're always irritated when they speak to you for more than 2 seconds. I just can't help but think, yeah, this is not normal. This is a hostility that a hostility, animosity that just it exists for no reason other than something I cannot control. But like I said, I know from the way other people who I work with act towards me that that's not just something that people do. Like I have several coworkers. Every time I see them, they say hello, I say hi. Act like normal people, but some of them I don't know what it is. I have felt like that as well in a workplace, unfortunately, especially with the language barrier too. Well, dude, that's what drives me crazy because these are like, it's one thing. I had a Hispanic coworker at the place that got rid of me last year after a week. He doesn't have the speed we're looking for. You probably don't remember that, but I had a Hispanic coworker, and even though that person didn't speak that much English, because there was someone who was with us that could translate, we still were able to do much of the same work. And they told me their name, and I even with the language barrier, they still had less of a barrier between being just cordial towards me than these bigoted bimbos in I can't even say the city, but it would that would be a nice alliteration. You get my point that like I know it's not that in this case. God. It's a real shame, man. When you go to a job and you try to do your best, and yeah, maybe you don't do it as fast as somebody would like, maybe you don't do this part as good as somebody would like, but you're still trying, and then you have this, whether it's the manager or one of the managers, rather, let me say it that way because they're not the only manager. Uh, yeah, it is pretty lame, Jem. Jem, where have you been? I've been waiting for you for a whole several minutes. Like, you just didn't write anything. I'm very outraged. Where did you go? I want an explanation. Were you talking to your ex-wife again, trying to get custody of the property, telling her not to open the safe until you get there? I mean, that's ridiculous. We've been waiting to speak to you all year long, and you're gonna sit here talking about family was over, like you have 15 kids and they're all passing around at stuff at the dinner table, and you can't even get to your computer because they're still coming by the droves. Come on, it would have to be over something you can't control, not like your work or craft, but a personal issue with your race. And I'm telling you, they're like this towards all the other blacks that work there. I've never seen them go up to a single. There's about 4 or 5 of us there. Never seen them act overly pleasant towards it. They don't go up and "Ugh," or nothing, but just kind of like they just seem to ignore them. They kind of like acknowledge them when they have to speak to them. Other than that, you know, get out of here, basically. And that's one of the reasons why when we were talking about that romance stuff, I try to make my content for everyone. Um, but you have to understand that when they've done statistics of dating websites and all the rest of this stuff, no one ever wants to talk about the dirty little secret that most of those sites have whites on there. And there are a lot of, not even just white women, but like, other ethnic groups as well, who no matter how nice you are, no matter how funny you are, no matter how attractive you might think you are, or be told you are by someone that wants to boost your ego, if you are not their desired race, they will have nothing to do with you. It doesn't matter if you could be the funniest, smartest, most calming presence they've ever seen. You could make them laugh all day long. You could fill their heads with stuff they've never heard of before. If you're not their desired race, they will not date you. They will not give you a chance. These dating gurus and dating creeps they never want to talk about that. They'll never admit that. They never will concede that you can do all this self-improvement, jump through hoop, loop-de-loop nonsense, but if you are black and a woman, whether she is white, Hispanic, Asian, or even black herself, does not like your race, she will not date you. You might get some woman who's a different race to talk to you, how are you doing? Da, 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 da. But as far as dating, you don't fit her criteria, so you won't get even an attempt at initiating something like that. They never will admit it, they'll never mention it, they'll never bring it up. It is the big hush hush, no, no, keep it in the closets, board it up, stitch it away thing that doesn't get addressed ever. They will never mention that. Well, listen, I don't condemn someone for having preferences. I have my own preferences, but as I've explained before, I have stretched them in instances where I have felt that there was a woman who I had I don't want to say a connection with, but I liked to some degree more than normal. Like if I have some woman who I think is attractive, say, "Oh, I want to date you," I'm not going to go, "Well, uh, I think you are attractive as well, but you're not my preferred ethnicity." It's like I said, you go on a date with someone, that's it. You don't have to marry them. You don't have to be tied to them for the rest of your life. Right, but I'm saying that as we've explained before and we've deconstructed dates, to put so much of an emphasis and a real refusal to like have an open mind about certain things on something that is in many cases a one-time thing, temporary. I can't get behind that. Like I can accept they have preferences, but I can't accept the idea that each one of them sits there thinking that this man with the six pack is going to suddenly, stay with her for the rest of her life. You know what I mean? Like you have to understand that when you go on a date with someone, you have to kiss them, you don't have to hug them, you don't have to engage in any type of bodily activity with them. All you're doing is meeting with the person, sitting somewhere and eating, or sitting somewhere and speaking, or whatever. You don't have to do anything that you don't want to do that's physical or whatever. So to put up this big barrier of things that they have to be off right off the bat and then be surprised that no one lives up to it. Because, like I said, if chicks were so happy, they wouldn't be on these damn dating websites. It would just be a bunch of men, but it's not. If all these chicks were living happily ever after and it was just the poor, bitter men, you wouldn't see women on dating websites. No, they're gonna talk about you're this pill. I speak in terms of reality. Like I said, you could find some woman, give you an example, who's Hispanic. And she likes speaking to you, like speaking to her. You make your jokes, she laughs. Maybe she gives you her number. Maybe she says you're one of her closest friends. Maybe she says that she really likes talking to you. You're a ray of sunshine in her life. And you go, hey, how you feel about going to get something to eat? Just kind of just you and I. Oh well, I don't feel that way about you. And you're like, oh, I have to start all over because, of course, most of them won't tell you outright, I don't like you because you're this race. But that is something that has come up before. And at that point, it's like, what else do you do? Just keep starting over. When it comes to date or romance, you don't suffice. They see it as a waste of time. I mean, that's kind of funny when you consider that chicks waste nothing but time. Do you realize that women are more likely to have more romantic partners than men in general? So they actually do, again, not all of them, in general, waste more time with false starts and temporary partners than men do. Yeah, they'll often engage in or waste as much time with. Yeah. Well, here's what it is, right? This is the way I look at it. the man that they date, because we've explained this conundrum before. If the man was so great, they would just talk to the guy. They wouldn't even bother speaking to other men, but they still speak to you while they're dating this other guy. So the man that they date is like the main prize acquired thing that they're trying to build up in their minds as like the pinnacle of all masculinity, of just perfect person, blah 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 blah, right? And then you're the individual who's supposed to like entertain her in the meantime because the man is boring or not available, or there's some issue that she doesn't want to address. So you're basically like the court jester with the trumpet and the balloon animals that shows up to do most of the work, and then the guy gets to reap the rewards of your efforts by showing up at the end to actually date the person that spent more time with you. Because some of these chicks will sit in a call or whatever, typing stuff to you for hours, multiple times a week. Yeah, entertainment monkey. I'm serious. I can't. I lost count of how many chicks say they have a boyfriend, but they'll sit there typing stuff to you from 9 in the morning to 9 at night. Man, I'm telling you, all that dating advice stuff it all just dies when you realize that most chicks. I'm gonna just say this outright. I genuinely believe, it's just my opinion. I have no evidence, but it's just my opinion. I believe most chicks, they might say on some poll or on some type of data tracker thing that they're open to dating other races. It is a fact most chicks date men of their own race. So as an African American, I am at a statistical disadvantage when it comes to finding a partner because other blacks often date other races, which whatever they're allowed to do whatever they want. But that is a statistical disadvantage that these dating coaches, these stupid guys in my comment sections, and these clowns that sit up and write all this stupid stuff to defend chicks will never acknowledge or admit. They will just pretend that if you go and do their self improvement advice, women of all these different races and ethnicities and countries will suddenly start flocking to you, and it's not going to happen. At best, you might get maybe one or two chicks a year to reciprocate, and even that's like barely anything at all. Like in a whole year, you know what I mean? Like it's still like even at your best, you probably would still get like basically nothing. And it really isn't about you as a person. It's this they like what they like, and by virtue of your ethnicity, you are not what they like. That's why we saw the chick on Twitter who was talking about she's pure blood and she only wants to date a white man, and then the white men around her don't want her, which was hilarious. Because it's like, maybe if you had some kind of open mind, but whatever. I just thought that was funny. I told an Asian woman once that she was not my type, and I felt awful about saying it to her. Well, I guess at least you were honest, so there's one good thing that came out of that. Dude, I'm telling you, all that dating stuff is just such a waste. Like all the chicks do is sit around and pretend as if you're actually making a difference when you talk to them. It is a thing that we've seen happen where women of other ethnic groups are like, yeah, they're okay with maybe they'll date a person from a different race, but when it comes time for them to actually do like long-term stuff, they go with someone of their own. Like I told you about this big huge woman that made me want to vomit. I don't want to say what her race is, but it's not black. But she like mentioned dating black guys in the past before she married her husband, who is the same race as her. So it's like that. We were as a group just filler for her, right? Uh, and let's not even. No, I'm not going to bring her up. That's somebody else that I thought was of a similar variety, but they'll never admit that the ethnic disadvantage that I have. They will never acknowledge that. That is the biggest no in the whole broom closet. You're more likely to see them admit aliens exist than to, than to have to be like, yeah, all that self improvement stuff is nice, but if whites, Hispanics, Asians, and damn near every other ethnic group of women say we don't like this guy because he's black, what is he supposed to do? And even when they say that they're okay with it, I mean, they still could just not find him attractive, so it doesn't matter. Like one of the managers is Hispanic, and I'm like, I don't think she's pretty. There's another Hispanic manager that's pretty. Got her nice little pigtail, or I guess braided ponytail. She doused herself in some perfume. Man, well, let me shut up. Their families disown them. Man, she threw on so much of that perfume when she walked past me. I thought I had reached heaven. Of course, I don't make any over attempts or anything because I'm not stupid. I'm not about to get fired over, something like that. No, I didn't make any compliments. I told you I'm done. All this little like woman stuff that's dead. I think I mentioned that same manager asked one of my coworkers if he had a girlfriend, and he said no, and then like was asking him why, and I was actually very nervous that she would ask me that because then I would have to like I would be left with either two responses. You either pretend you don't believe what you believe, or you go out and just pull like full mask off and man, I'm sick of these shit. and we don't know what reaction they'll have to that. So a lot of them are really good at lying, like extremely good. They'll often tell lies to butter up the guy or try to reassure them they are into them, but in reality, they are repulsed by them. Perhaps this is very true, and I've seen this. You know that we had this conversation about some of them speak in code, like they on purpose say things to make it sound like they want, or at least are considering dating you, and then you get the reverse result. Like on purpose, they say things that have like a romantic hint to them or an erotic subtext, and then you find out no, they were just pulling my leg here. You get a call from this broad crying. She's like, I'm trying to like you. No, it went nowhere. Her and her damn crocodile tears. That, that's me after every chick. Oh, do you like me? No. Hey, you said that you wanted to speak to me today. Are we gonna talk? No. I'm gonna shake my head so much that thing's gonna fall off. No, what I'm saying is if they ask you if you have a girlfriend and you say no, like they did this other guy, and then they followed up by asking you, like they asked him why. I the only option I have is to either just pretend that I wanted to be single, or to go full mask off and reveal all my views on chicks, and we don't even know what their response to that is going to be. So so don't get me started. Those days are long gone, dude. I used to be really into trying to make something work with them. Man, I'm telling you, I almost want to like ask out chicks as like a like an on purpose spoof. Be like, yeah, so I saw you walking around, and I decided we should go on a date. Oh, okay, whatever. I don't care. Like just that, like as a just big joke because it is a joke. Modern romance is a joke. Like imagine this. Like if you're a woman, you can be 300 pounds, get a man to date you, but if you're a guy, you have and you're not you're like regular average size. You could even you're taller than most people, whatever. You have to sign up for dating websites, including some that people expect you to pay for. They want you to go to the mall. They want you to go to stores. They want you to ask out women walking down. You're like, damn, this is a whole job in and of itself. No, no, Jem, I don't like gold diggers. To hell with that. Jem, I normally don't get mad at your commentary, but that's the kind of stuff that turns my stomach. I'm not I don't like chicks that only like me for my money or that like me for that. That's not appealing to me. The only thing they're attracted to is a piece of paper, not the man in front of them. Dude, honestly, the only way a woman would get like if I made any like true big hundreds of thousands or millions of dollars, the only way a woman would ever be able to use any of that money is if I had a daughter. That's the only way any woman would be benefited by that. To hell with the rest of them. Yeah, that's not a good solution. I understand. I'm telling you, that's what I care about. The only thing they care about is paper. That's why I said you can have them. If you want to sit there and drive yourself crazy chasing after a bunch of idiots that if they didn't have a triangle, you wouldn't even look pay them one ounce of attention. Go ahead. I've never discouraged a single man from wanting to ask out women. Not once. I said to my friend, "I'm done with this. You can do however you like." He's like, "Oh, maybe this year." I was like, "Hey, don't tell me. Just you'll know when you want to. If you don't want to, you don't need me to push you." So it's not hard to just walk away from this woman stuff. They are a very they're like I said, there's just nothing appealing about them if you're a guy. Like, ooh, this one might kiss you. Oh, definitely couldn't pay one of them to do that in Vegas. Ooh, this one might uh show up with you to a party. Yeah, definitely couldn't get pay one of them to do that. So tough. And then the actual stuff that a supposed relationship could yield, all these chicks say they don't want kids, unless it's by accident, of course. So they're like I said, there's no point. Like they're literally they have demystified themselves. They have made themselves obsolete. Guys will catch on to their schemes on their own. Yeah. You think I'm playing? I don't go around holding out a billboard. Do not ask out. Never. I've never done that. I see all these different men at these places. They're talking about some woman or what. Doesn't bother me. That is kind of funny that like the one thing you're supposed to be able to get from dating with and being with a woman long term is a family. And because women don't want to get married, and the only time I see any of them having kids is when it's by accident with some man that they're not married to, of course, because that's just that we just have to do this. We can never plan things out ever at all. Uh that's why I said they've completely destroyed any reason for me to still even try like asking one of them out. You can't even be friends with one of them because you saw what happened with the banana penalty. So like there really is no purpose in me talking to really any of them at all anymore outside of Maybe if I need one to like record something for me. Um, but other than that, there's just no point. Because again, they've destroyed the one thing they had over the pay girls. Like they don't want to get married, and they don't want kids except when it's by accident. So I said, okay, well, it looks like this is not tenable. It's inevitable no wonder that article was saying less guys have been signing up on the dating sites. Yeah, because people are tired of this pyramid scheme, man. Like you're gonna lose all this money asking out a bunch of chicks. You don't have to people who actually want to talk to you, you don't have to pay them for that. Seriously, like when you ever been on my stream, oh, you want me to read your comment? Okay. Uh $55 a month. They don't even charge that cheap. They want like 90 or it's crazy. I'm gonna watch the video again. Those prices were insane. When it costs as much to be on a dating website as it does to pay rent, you know you lost your mind. I don't know how someone who's not a millionaire already doesn't like ask out chicks when it costs that much. Talking about 1,000 for this, 2,000 for that. Man, you literally the amount it costs for these dating sites, you could buy a whole new car in 2 months. How does that even work? How can someone really consider paying that much? I don't even believe they actually have people that pay because I said before most people can't afford $1,000 emergency. So and it's like on top of that you have rent. That's either somebody that lives with their parents and just can just blow money on all types of stupid stuff, or it's it's like a number they throw around that nobody's actually paying for. Just like I give you an example, we were talking about that people, yeah, a very small group of people. We need to add that in there. I'll give you an example. There, Megumi, I told you about this actress. She wanted to go have some kind of like vacation with her uh, followers or supporters in another country. I forgot what the country's name is. And so that sounds kind of nice. Of course, I'm not going because I have stuff I have to do, and they whatever. When I saw the price for this vacation, let's just say by the time you get back, you'll be ready to just like bury yourself. Over $3,000 for a ticket to go to this foreign country. And man, the comment section had me laughing. Everybody was saying, "This is I appreciate the offer, but this is too much. I can't do it." Because I was thinking, like, am I just an extremely poor person where when I see 3,000, I scoff at them, like, what in the world? But no, I didn't see a single person except one, and I don't even know if they actually did it, who went in the comment section and was like, oh, yeah, I'll go. Everybody else saying, maybe next time, I can't do it, something to that effect. My favorite line is, I know it's expensive, but we'll have a expletive. So that's the F word and then ing blast. I know it's expensive, but we'll have an expletive blast. It's not N, it's A. Okay, I know it's expensive, but we'll have a expletive blast. They have 10 spots open. I'm good too. But you know what drives me crazy? Because this lady is a millionaire, okay? Maybe not a several times millionaire like Google claims, but she's not hurting for money. She can travel to multiple states across the year, get paid to take pictures of people. So she's nowhere near being economically disadvantaged like a lot of us in the US are at this point. But what drives me crazy is like when you say I know it's expensive, you're acknowledging that this is an amount of money that a lot of the people who support you and a lot of people that support her are like middle-aged, still cannot just throw out to go to another country. I know it's expensive, but we'll have an expletive blast. No, we'll have an expletive recession. That's we'll have an expletive financial crisis. God, that's insane. I gave you a low estimate. It's actually like 3,500. Like it's somewhere. It's not near 4,000, but it's creeping towards like the halfway point of that. That's insane. The halfway point of like like the thousand between 3 and 4,000. Oh, Jem, you pretend you're not interested, but I already saw you getting ready to book your passport. So let's not pretend. Okay, what would make sense is if she'll pay for all the fans' travel fees to come with her. That would make a lot more sense since she has a lot of cash to burn. Yeah, exactly. Like, think about this. You're going to sign up for somebody's site where they get paid by multiple people hundreds a month, right? So that's like 1,000 they're pocketing right there. And then you're going to ask them if they want to go on a supposed vacation with you midway through the year that cost several thousands to go on. And you're like, well, wait a second, person that is extremely wealthy and certainly more so than anyone that's, donating. How about if you want so badly to hang out with your supporters and followers, how about you pay for it? I mean, hell, she was over there posting pictures about her reinvigorating or redecorating, not redecorating, because that makes it sound like you're just moving stuff around, but like creating a new backyard. Like, come on, if you can afford that, pay for these people to go over and to this other country. Like, I'm telling you, man, people always want you to spend like crazy sums of money, and they like there's a little bit of self awareness, but not enough to actually do anything about it. Even if she was just paying half of it, then it would only be like what 1,800. That's a lot more doable than you know. I'm just saying, like these people will not do anything. They expect you to just give them money, and then here's spend even more money on it. Forget that. But you already saw from the person that said I was cheap and ungrateful for not wanting to spend 7,000 in 2 weeks. So everybody's just trying to get you to fork over thousands of dollars every time you turn around. I know it's expensive, but we'll have an expletive blast. Oh my god. You know it's expensive. That's you yeah, you know it's expensive because nobody's signing up for it. I'll be very curious to see who goes on that trip. Because I only saw one person that said they would go offer mine. Dude, I told you that's the problem with these celebrities. They live in a whole different world. Like when you get paid just to go and be in a movie and go and you don't live in the same reality as the rest of us. Men 65 plus pay. Dude, they take out a second mortgage on their home just to go to this other country. Dude, I wouldn't even spend that amount to go to another state in the US. Like, forget that. They get all those social security checks start coming in. Here's to the imagine, I'm gonna go to this other country. Oh man, forget that trip. Nah, she's not 22. She's almost 50. It's worth it for them. Well, they can have fun doing that. Some of us would like to not go bankrupt over over a trip to an to another country. Oh, um, well, I tell you before, my thing with all these different countries, I'm not interested. Like if I went to Vietnam, it would just be for the historical site of the conflict we had over there. But as far as like, oh, I want a vacation over here. No, no. There are so many parts of the US I'd rather see first than even like 1 inch of any of these other countries. I just don't care. I know it's expensive, but we'll have a expletive blast. I like how they don't even explain how the trip's formatted. Like, are you going to be in the same hotel with them? Are they going to be with you all day? Or it's people just they expect you to just throw money at stuff and be as vague as possible. It's crazy. I don't care how famous I became. I would never expect people to pay 3,000 just to go somewhere with me. That's nuts. And I hope I wouldn't mind seeing that trip fail as far as like maybe only one or two people go on it. Imagine going to another country on the hopes of trying to find someone spending a huge sum of cash to travel to a place that you probably haven't been to or care about just for that. And people really still say this to this day. Yeah, the passport pricks. And the sad part is I'll tell you, I will always be sympathetic to the act of wanting to meet someone and being like so desperate to where you'll do anything for it, right? Because that's how I was with the chick stuff. It's like you go to these different schools, ask out some girl, whatever, you get laughed at. He thought that she liked him, but you keep trying, right? At the different schools you're going to, but it seems like nothing is working. Right? So you're like, okay, I'll go on the internet. I'll meet some woman on there that's like a little bit older than me, whatever. Oh, still does nothing. Okay, well, I'll go on some more websites. And you start signing up for these different sites. Let's not forget with Reddit, and it's like I get it. The desperation, the not wanting to be alone, but the reality is these chicks just don't care. Sometimes you'll talk to one of them, they'll speak to you for a few weeks, a few months, then they'll just abruptly stop responding. Sometimes you'll talk to one of them, they'll tell you that you mean something to her and she enjoys speaking to you and you're a good friend and all the rest of that mumbo jumbo. And then guess what? After a few weeks, few months, she doesn't reciprocate how you feel. And then you have to just keep starting over and over again. And at one point you just get sick of it. You just get tired of it. And then you have these idiots that come around, oh, you're so young. Because people can't address any of the actual substance of what you're saying of hey, this person wanted to at least have a date and they have to do this. No, going to other countries and states to meet someone, I could never get behind doing that. When I was in Alabama and Georgia, the only woman I spoke to was the damn attendant at the Carter Library. I couldn't care less about any of the ones out there any more than I care about the ones over here because we know they're all the same because they like the internet has made them all the same. They all sit around their phone all day, ignoring people in real life, talk to ones on the computer. Like it's just that there's no purpose in trying to. I digress. You think I'm kidding? I did the only women I spoke to the entire time I was out of state were the ones that work somewhere. That where it's like, hey, you have to talk to this person, like get a question answered. That's it. Make the ultimate romance documentary where it's just like, how did it all begin? Why did this man have such a hard time finding a partner? How did this occur? And just like a recap of everything. We have like dramatic illustrations of stuff and interviews with different people who knew me at certain points. All the locations, all the screenshots, and that'd be funny if we actually did interview some of the the chicks. Be like, why, woman, why? That's the part I wouldn't want to do because I take great pride in the fact that I don't care about any of them. I don't look for their information. I don't try to look them up or get back in contact with a single one. Uh, so that would be the one thing I probably wouldn't do as far as like any of the ones I actually tried to do something with. I would make sure to keep staying away from them. Dude, imagine if this was like a TV show and the final season was there's like this individual that keeps leaving all these nasty comments and all the romance stuff, and you get rid of them and they come back with another account, and it just keeps going and going and going until they like show up in the comment section like, okay, whatever, what's your problem? And then you do like one of the like split screen Google Hangouts, and it's revealed that the person doing it is the first woman that ever turned me down. It's like it all comes full circle. You know what I mean? Like it just like all traces but right back to the beginning. I couldn't imagine what she's doing though. I think a more poetic one would probably be the one that I thought about doing a video on this one, the one I was obsessed with, because the idea there is like, here was this chick that you barely had a relationship with and you were like willing to do all this crazy stuff just to be around. So it would be ironic if that person is like returned and is bothering you and won't leave you alone. Oh man, get ready for some tears. Let me see. I think I might have to go because very true. Like seriously, the amount of chicks you try and make an attempt to have something manifest with and it gets rejected and you need to reboot. Yeah, you get tired of it starting over and over again. Um, but you know, just like repeating and going and going and going. Um, retry and start again with another one. Yeah, you just reboot, reboot, reboot. And remember, none of these chicks have to do that. You've never seen some woman go, "Oh, it took me 50 tries to get a man to never. You don't see it. And dude, like I want you to sit back one day, social experiment here. Just look at the women around you. Look at the ones you work with, look at the ones that walk across the street from you and ask yourself how many of them do you think are so pretty that they could just get a boyfriend like that, like that you think are just so attractive. You're like, oh man, there's no way she's single, or if she is, it won't be for too long. Just she's so like it's just she's so beautiful, right? But understand that like, and this is the point I was trying to make when I talked about the two big chicks having it's like it doesn't matter what a woman looks like. It doesn't matter what she looks like, what she acts like, if she has a job. Men will take anything. At my job, there are multiple chicks I think are attractive, including one of the ones I think doesn't like me for my ethnicity. And every every time I think about the ones that have a boyfriend or whatever, it's like I know that don't have any standards. They will take whatever and anything that has a triangle. And this is why women don't feel like they have to do anything besides exist, because they don't. But this is why I said all this romance stuff is so toxic, because it's subtly, it's the people don't outright say it, but they're subtly telling you that because you're male, not only is and you're not like able to get a woman, right? Not only is there something wrong with you, but you're gonna have to undergo this magical, giant, enormous transformation for the sake of possibly being able to get a partner. You know, you had these people, and they still do it today, who talk about my like trash about my attire, right? Let me explain something to you. You could have a woman come on here wear the exact same stuff I wear, and like with no problem with getting a date. It wouldn't matter if she was 100 pounds, 200 pounds, 5 feet, 5'5", 5'10", because as long as you're female, you can get a partner. I had men who mocked me for how small my cross was, even though I explained my cross memento to a deceased relative, to honor them. Do you think you'd ever turn down a woman that you thought was hot because of her necklace? No, you wouldn't. Seriously, men have no standards, and for that reason, women are lionized and basically get given life on easy mode. Certainly, when it comes to having access to romantic relationships, they don't have to struggle for that at all. Any wound they have is self-inflicted. Oh, I have this kid by this guy that uh didn't, stay with me. Well, I mean, that wasn't hard to figure out when he wouldn't marry you before he, got you pregnant. And oftentimes even their wounds are uh gone after by somebody else. I can't tell how many times I've seen some man with some woman that has two kids by two other men, or three kids by two other men, or uh just like they don't ever have any consequence for the bad choices that they make with regard to these partners, because for them everything is just an insta fix, a short-term solution. There's no long-term planning ahead whatsoever, and the only time they ever seem to put any thought into their own future is when they want to tell you what they don't want. Oh, I don't want to get married. Oh, I don't want to have kids. Like that's the only time you ever see any of them use any attempt of supposed forward thinking. And even then, that's not even about them like having some goal. It's just them telling you what they don't want, that makes it to where you're disinterested in trying to even bother with them in the first place. It's really sad that men have no standards. I find it very disappointing, but not surprising at all. And Megumi, I'm not even trying to like, because people take this the wrong way. I'm not saying anything about being jealous of females or anything, but I'm telling you the truth. If you were a woman, whether you were skinny, overweight, none of your issues with getting a partner would exist. And it wouldn't matter what your personality was, where you lived. It would have never happened. It is the era we live in. It is an era of technological advancement, but personal and moral decay. Cell phones are great, computers are great, but the people that use them are trash. Not everybody, but the purposes, the use of them to ignore real life human beings. Like, a woman won't even go to a bar now. They'll just go and go on a dating site. Dude, I thought that long time ago. Seriously, it's the truth. And you wouldn't have this problem, because look at all the unattractive women. And we're not even just talking about being overweight. We're talking about just ones that you look at and you say, you know what, I would never, even if she was dolled up, even if she was, you know, whatever, like I just don't find her attractive. No matter which ones you don't personally like, there's always some man in the nebulous void of guys that just pops up and is interested in one of them. And again, it never matters. It never matters if if they have no money. It doesn't matter if they are skinny or overweight, unemployed. I mean, it like there's no condition a woman can be in that she doesn't have access to men. It's the truth. So I think maybe if I had more money, I probably would have some gold digger trying to do something, but I think I can weed it out. Like I said, I just it's hard to not be angry about them. It really is. Because you go around here, you see all these people that they just waste everything. Like I see so many parents where they just drop the kid off at the another relative's house, or they don't even like do anything with them, or I mean, it's just I just find it sad that like you're never going to get any type of fulfilling thing that comes from being in a supposed relationship with a woman because they're just not interested in you. And the only thing that comes out of interacting with them is more waste of time and more attempts by people who weren't even there to blame you for why they do what they do. They have a barrage of romantic options and choices and don't know what it feels like to develop a feeling that you may spend your entire life with no partner. And remember, keyword, key sentence, uh you may spend your entire life with no partner. When you say that, remember, you're not talking about someone who just was like, I'm not even going to bother trying to meet somebody. You're talking about a guy or guys who will go to stores, on the internet, the schools they attend. Like, when is enough enough? Like I asked that, what how many venues do you have to make yourself available for one of these pieces of trash to ever reciprocate? I'm not trying to be funny. When do you get to take a towel and say, "Man, to hell with this. I'm done with them." If one of these bimbos wants to date me, they can say it themselves. Seriously, when are you allowed to call it quits? How do you have to be on every website? You have to visit every country? That should be a video romance. Enough is enough. When how much is enough? Ay, ay, ay. But I'd love for you to answer that question. How many sites do you have to be on? How many countries do you have to visit? How much advice do you have to follow before you can finally say, I'm tired of seeing no change? How many times do you have to be blamed for why it didn't work out before they'll admit, yeah, this is just a rancid group? You understand that every time someone starts singing that song about eventually one day you'll meet somebody, I take it as a joke. It's been that way for years because it was like this when it started. You say, okay, this is just some teenager that like doesn't entirely know what or who they are, and maybe they go up and they're nervous. It happens. Um, but then as the years kept going and people kept singing this song about the magic woman, you kept going, okay, this is getting more and more. It kind of reminds me when people would say that the dollar would collapse. Like you can't keep saying this is going to change every year, expecting this guy to keep going out there, and then when he gets no payoff, he's supposed to keep doing it. I'd really like to know because it seems like they want you to keep wasting your time and life doing this and keep getting the same result. Yeah, they never can explain when is enough enough. And how exactly are you supposed to feel optimistic? Dude, I'm not even kidding. That romance stuff, it's been a joke to me since I did the why I don't approach anymore video because it's like even when I tried after that to still kind of think, okay, maybe this will be different. It just it I'll put it this way. Before that video and before like doing a lot of this online stuff, it really was you go up to somebody or you talk to them, they say they're not interested, whatever. Like you it just got weirder and weirder. Like we now know you can have one of them talk to you in this aggressively romantic manner, right? As we saw from that one on Discord, or one that asks you on a date, and it still can be the same exact result. Man, these people will never have a set estimated time where you can finally say, okay, that's it. They want you to just keep for the rest of your life following their stupid advice and believing all the little dumb stuff they say and being miserable while everybody else gets to get married and have a family and uh, watch their kids grow up. You guys sit here and go on a talk to woman 559, hoping that she's different, and then you're supposed to act surprised when the same thing happens for the several hundredth of time. Even ones that actually live close to you, like the same city slash state, they just end up doing nothing with you. Like, really? Yeah, that's why I said that you get the same result from going up and asking out a woman that you get from talking to on the computer that's in another country or state. I told you, romance is just it's a curse, man. It is a plague. It's something that when it's actually in effect can be so nice. But for a lot of guys, it's just a waste of everyone's time. It's people taking women and using them as this tool to just punch, someone, like just kick someone when they're down. Like it's not enough to just get turned down by the woman. Oh, you're ugly and you lack confidence and just and you get sick of it. Like it's too much. Heck, when this stream is over, I might go outside and just curse for about half an hour about, all the people that I cared about that made the holidays actually something memorable, and how I don't feel anything anymore, and how I'm sure there's somebody sitting somewhere with their partner and they're wrapping up gifts and surprising each other and watching stuff together, and you have to just sit there by yourself for the rest of your, like just that kind of stuff just drives me crazy just thinking about it. Seeing other people or have a family, things you really wanted and tried so hard to get being shown to your face is not a pleasant feeling. They don't care. I'm serious. I might because I had this person come in talking about take some trash cans to the front. After I did, I might just go outside and just curse for about half an hour. I just walk down the street, my phone to my mouth, just swearing. And I don't even care who sees me, who doesn't matter. It won't even just be about chicks. It's just in general. When put it this way, when you have a desire to have a family, and then like the people that actually are your family just like start dying off one by one in like this span of a couple of years, and your attempts to make one keep ending up for nothing, all for nothing. But then all these other people, you see them getting their stuff. It drives you nuts because you're just like, okay, so I guess my fate is everyone I care about for the most part will die, and then I'll die, and then that'll be it. I'll just watch everybody else get to have a family and have people around them, but for the rest of my life I'll just sit here in my little lonely cave and okay, great, terrific, can't wait. So I'm not. That's why I'm not the biggest fan of any of these holidays anymore. They don't. They haven't meant anything to me in quite a while. And truly, there is no solution to this because for as much as those stupid dating guys give their advice, you cannot make someone like you. You can do things to get on that person's good side, to curry favor with them. You can't make a person suddenly become attracted to you. Oh man, this guy wore this cologne. Oh, I now like him romantically and want to spend the rest of my life with him. Even a woman that you could get to go on a date with you, if she says, "I don't want to have a family," guess what? Right back to square one. Got to start all over again. But they'll never talk about it. Anyways, I've been going for almost 3 hours. So I guess we've reached our apex. If you have anything else left to say, let me know because I'm kind of at my wits end. I'm just saying this stuff it's bad. It's bad by itself, but then when you add in just all the death and the yeah, and that's annoying. That's the other reason why I want to wrap this up. So anything else you guys want to say, or is that it? Uh, because I want to make sure that we can conclude this in a satisfactory way, or as much of a satisfactory way as we can get. But just know that men have no standards. That is an A+ fact. They will take anything. You get some gum off the floor and put a little triangle on it, and they be like, "Oh yeah, just hope you find some peace and take care because this stuff is crazy and tough." Very relatable. Well, I appreciate your attendance. I know Jem was here earlier, but he was trying to go pay his child support, so it's fine. Akatsuki Merchant was here earlier as well, but he went to go and hang out with his new wife. They got married over the weekend. Uh, I know Gray donated earlier, so I'll thank him for that again. But I'll be back on Saturday. So thanks for watching and have a good rest of your Christmas. So see ya.